Injuries are one of the worst things that can happen in skateboarding. In this video I'm going to be specifically talking about rolled ankles, but you can apply this knowledge to kind of any skateboard related injury. I'm going to be showing you guys a bunch of the methods that I use to speed up recoveries in skateboarding, but first I'm going to show you guys how I injured my ankle in the first place. Alright guys, so about a year and a half ago I did a video where I learned impossibles. I landed it like 2 times in the video, and ever since then those have been the only 2 times I've ever landed it. It took me so long to get it those 2 times I just never even went back to it, but it's a trick that I've always wanted to be good at and have consistent. So I'm going to try to relearn it, see if I can get it. I've got about an hour down here before I need to go home. It's also freezing cold, it's like -5 degrees, but the flat ground is like one of the only things we can skate at the park because there's ice all over the park right now. There's ice here, there's ice there, there's ice all over there. This bank here is just an icy death trap. And the most dangerous thing is there's patches of ice that you can't even see. Like this part here just looks a little bit damp, but really it's a big sheet of black ice. It's so slidey. The park is honestly so dangerous this time of year, but we're still gonna try skate. It's also so cold that my bushings and my legs are not really working. Let's see if we can get it before I freeze to death. My feet and legs are actually too cold, so I'm gonna have a quick warm up around the park and then I'll get back to the impossible. There's just no way that I can do it right now. I need to warm up my legs. At the moment, that fakey frontside flip on the bank is my favourite trick to do at the park. It just feels so nice to do, I don't know why. Alright, so this is the landing on ice challenge. This is like really slidey. Annoying. Every time I'm trying to just flip it around with 1 foot so I can get the feeling for it, I do that perfect every single time, but when I'm trying to properly land on it with 2 feet, right after I pop, I like flick it out with my back foot and then it just goes off to the side. It's so hard to keep under your body, I don't get it. Ow, 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 ow! I rolled my ankle. I swear, I've tried to make this video like at least like 10 times that I'm trying to relearn the impossible. Every single video ends in me rolling my ankle or hurting my ankle. This exact ankle, it's always my left ankle. It always ends in me just hurting my ankle in some way. It's so annoying because I've done it before and I really want to have them consistent, but every time I go for it, this always happens. It's just as well this happens during the winter when it's too wet to skate anyway. But this sucks so bad, I'm in so much pain. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. I can already feel it starting to swell up so bad. It's so cold, my bag is like covered in frost and ice. Look at it, it's like sparkling in the light. That's insane. That's just an example of how cold it actually is down here. The one good thing about this weather is that it's basically just a giant freezer for your water. It makes every drink the coldest and the best drink you've ever had. It's amazing. Kobe! Aww. Alright, I think it's time to head home. If I stick around here and not moving too much, I'm probably gonna freeze and die. This is gonna be a slow and painful walk. It's now a couple of days later and I'll show you my ankle. You can't see it too well on camera, and over the past 2 days it's healed a little bit. The bruising's gone and the swelling's went down a little bit, but the entire left side of my foot is still so stiff and I don't really have much movement in my ankle at all right now. It's still far too painful to skate on, but I can still walk around and do some stuff. Now I get ankle injuries quite often, and ever since I started skateboarding I've developed just a couple of things that I do to speed up recovery whenever I get injured. The first thing I like to do when I get up in the morning, I roll it around in my hands a little bit. This just helps stretch the muscle around after sleeping, and it also lets you know how it's going to feel for that day. The next thing I like to do is put some pressure on it and roll it around a little bit with your foot on the floor. This does pretty much the same thing as step 1, but it helps you stretch your ankle out a little bit more. Now while you have an injured ankle, you don't want to be moving around too much and putting too much stress on it, but it's good to still do some movements with it throughout the day. Stuff just as simple as like walking up and down the stairs a couple of times or going on like a short walk. This just helps to keep it moving, stretching it out and not letting it lose any of its muscle. Another thing you can do is whenever you're sitting down, keep it elevated. There's a little rule with recovery, it's called RICE, and that stands for rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Whenever you have an injury, it's always good to keep it elevated. Using some ice over it can help to reduce the swelling. You can also support it by using ankle braces, knee braces, or anything that wraps around it and keeps it tight. There's a bunch of stretches you can do with your ankle, but anything that doesn't hurt too much but keeps it moving should be pretty good. Ankle injuries like this usually last me like 1 or 2 weeks, so it's really important that you don't rush back into skateboarding. You don't want to jump back on your board and then injure it again straight away, which would make it 10 times worse than what it originally was. Rolling your ankle a couple of times really close together can really mess up your ankle. So you don't want to rush back into it, you want to make sure your ankle's strong enough before you can start skating again. Also, eating well. If you eat better, then your body will recover a lot faster. I for one eat very badly and my body takes like 2 times longer to recover than it probably should. These methods are all pretty common, so the chances are a lot of you guys have probably used them in the past, but I just thought it was relevant to talk about in today's video because I've been injured. If you found today's video helpful, hit that like button, and if you guys have any other methods on how to speed up recovery, let me know in the comments. Anyway guys, thank you for watching today's video and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.